What if America found a loophole in the global financial system, not with printed dollars, but with digital dollars? A loophole subtle enough to melt down its debt while the world stares at the wrong headlines. How could something this powerful even be engineered? In this video, I'll break down two theories, one built on stablecoins and another on Bitcoin. And once you see how both parts connect, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. At Russia's Eastern Economic Forum, one of Putin's closest advisors claimed the United States is preparing a digital debt reset, shifting pieces of its $37 trillion of debt into a crypto cloud. It sounds dramatic, but then you remember Michael Saylor telling President Trump to sell America's gold and buy digital assets instead, a strategy designed to weaken rivals and give the America first mover advantage in the next monetary system. And if that sounds extreme, wait until you see how the first theory actually works. Imagine owing someone $100. You can pay it back honestly, or print another $100 and quietly cut your burden in half. For decades, America used inflation as a gentle reset. But then, something shifted. Inflation stopped being an American tax and became a global one. Why? Because stablecoins like USDT and USDC are essentially digital debt backed by US treasuries. And here's the part almost nobody realizes. Around $300 billion worth of stablecoins now circulate worldwide, bigger than many national currencies. So when people around the world hold stablecoins, they're indirectly holding United States government debt. And when the dollar inflates, they share the loss. Inflation becomes globalized, quietly and efficiently. Stablecoins look neutral. No flag, no politics, no central bank press conference. Yet under current rules, even Apple or Meta could issue US-backed digital dollars, central bank digital currency level power, without the actual label. But then something strange happened. Nations began buying gold at record speed, not for tradition, but because they don't trust digital debt they can't audit. And yet, stablecoins kept exploding in popularity. And that's not random. China reduced treasury buying. Japan and Europe face demographic decline. Demand for US debt is shrinking. Someone had to absorb the slack. Enter stablecoins, the silent vacuum for treasuries. Every new token minted means more American debt quietly purchased by the world. That's theory one. Elegant, subtle, already happening. But theory two changes the game completely. Before we continue, if you're someone who follows the money, hit like and subscribe. It helps me break down these hidden systems for more people. So here's the second scenario I believe is entirely possible. The United States begins accumulating Bitcoin, not directly, but indirectly. It could start by taking a small stake in MicroStrategy, the company holding the world's largest corporate Bitcoin reserve. That gives Washington a foothold in digital scarcity. Then the long game begins. Slow accumulation of roughly 5% of all Bitcoin ever mined. As accumulation continues, supply shrinks, prices rise, and America ends up holding one of the largest Bitcoin reserves on Earth. The cost of the entire operation? Around $300 billion, in my calculation. But the potential value? If Bitcoin hits $1 million, the reserve becomes worth around $1 trillion. Similar to America's entire gold stockpile. If Bitcoin hits 10 million, that position becomes a 10 trillion asset, enough to wipe out a quarter of the national debt with a single strategic move. And if that sounds impossible, remember what scarcity has done to assets throughout history. Two theories, both plausible, both already unfolding in ways most people aren't watching. One spreads America's debt across a global digital network. The other turns digital scarcity into a national advantage. But the real question isn't which theory is right. It's what the world will do when it finally realizes this might be happening.